Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening.
Elijah adjusted his thermal suit as he surveyed the icy landscape of Titan, Saturn's moon. His breath formed frosty clouds in the cold, thin air. Next to him, his colleague and fellow geologist, Marcus, was setting up equipment to drill into the ice. Ever think we'd be drilling for alien life and not just ice samples? Marcus joked, breaking the silence. Elijah chuckled. Every day, but dreaming and finding are two different things. As the drill whirred to life, penetrating the thick layers of ice, Elijah monitored the readings intently. Suddenly, the drill's pitch changed. "Hold up," he said, motioning to Marcus to stop. "We hit something that isn't ice." Both men leaned over the borehole, peering into the illuminated depths. There, beneath a clear block of ice, was a smooth, metallic surface, unlike anything terrestrial. "Is that?" Marcus started. "An artifact." "Yes, it looks manufactured," Elijah confirmed, his voice a mix of excitement and awe. They carefully extracted the object. It was a disk, adorned with intricate etchings that shimmered in Titan's dim light. Before they could examine it further, a soft echo of voices hummed through the icy plains. Turning around, Elijah spotted two figures approaching from a distance. As they drew closer, it became evident they weren't human. The figures were tall, with translucent skin that glowed faintly against Titan's landscape. "Elijah, do you see this?" Marcus whispered, his gaze fixed on the newcomers. "I do." "They're not from Earth." "Let's keep calm," Elijah replied, his hand instinctively going to the device at his belt, a universal translator issued by the outpost for just such an improbable encounter. The figures stopped a few meters away. One of them spoke, the translator buzzing a moment later. "Greetings, we mean no harm." Elijah stepped forward. "Hello, I'm Elijah, and this is Marcus. We are explorers from Earth. I am Lyra, and this is Mira." The one who had spoken introduced herself and her companion. "We sensed the disturbance of the ice and came to investigate. That artifact you hold, it belongs to our ancestors." Marcus looked at Elijah, then back at the sisters. "This is a significant find for us. We're here studying the environment and looking for signs of life. Finding you here, this changes everything." Lyra nodded, her expression serene. "It seems fate has intentions for both our peoples today." Mira stepped forward, her eyes curiously studying the human equipment. "May we examine your find? It is very important to our history." Elijah handed the disc to Mira. As she and her sister murmured in their flowing language, Elijah and Marcus exchanged a look of disbelief and excitement. "Would you be willing to tell us more about your people and this artifact?" Elijah asked, the glow from the alien disc reflecting in his hopeful eyes. Lyra smiled, a gesture surprisingly human. "We would be honored. In exchange, we wish to learn about your species and your journey here." As they started exchanging information, the boundaries between the two vastly different worlds began to blur, signaling the start of an extraordinary dialogue. The four beings, though from different stars, stood united by their curiosity and the uncharted possibilities that lay ahead. Inside the warmth of the human outpost on Titan, Elijah and Marcus introduced Lyra and Mira to Dr. Adrian Hayes, the mission commander. The spacious common room was filled with maps, screens displaying data, and the faint hum of machinery keeping the cold of Titan at bay. Dr. Hayes extended his hand, a gesture of peace. "Welcome to our humble base. It's not every day we meet new civilizations." Lyra exchanged a glance with Mira before responding, their hands remaining at their sides. "We understand your gesture. It is seen as a sign of peace among your people?" "Yes, exactly," Adrian explained, lowering his hand with a slight chuckle. "It's a way to show we come in friendship." Mira nodded, her eyes scanning the equipment and monitors curiously. "Your technology is much different from ours. We harness energy from natural elements without disrupting our environment." Marcus leaned in, interested. "Can you tell us more about that? We're always looking for ways to improve sustainability in our operations." Elijah, observing the growing engagement, suggested, "Perhaps we could show you around our station? You could see how we operate and maybe offer some insights from your practices. Lyra smiled. We would appreciate that. Understanding each other is the first step towards a meaningful exchange. As they toured the facility, Elijah pointed out the hydroponic gardens, the solar energy converters, and their water recycling system. Lyra and Mira listened intently, occasionally touching the equipment gently, as if to connect with it on more than just a visual level. When they reached the communication center, Mira asked, "How do you communicate across the vastness of space back to your home?" Adrian activated a screen showing a complex array of satellites and relay systems. It's all done through these. Signals bounce from Titan to Earth, though there's a significant delay. Fascinating, Lyra murmured. Our communication is more direct, using the natural magnetic fields of our planet. It allows for immediate connection with anyone, anywhere on our world. That could revolutionize our methods, Marcus noted, his mind racing with the possibilities. The tour concluded back in the common room where they gathered around a holographic table displaying Titan and the surrounding space. So, your artifact, Adrian began, turning the discussion back to the initial discovery. You mentioned it belongs to your ancestors. Can you elaborate? Mira took a small device from her pocket, placing it on the table. The hologram shifted, showing a star system unfamiliar to the humans. Our ancestors were explorers, much like yourselves. They traveled the stars, seeding many worlds with life and artifacts meant to guide and teach the future generations. Elijah absorbed every word. And the artifact we found? It's one of the seeds of knowledge, Lyra explained. A repository of wisdom meant to be found when a civilization is ready. Adrian, intrigued, asked, what kind of wisdom are we talking about? Technologies, philosophies, ways of understanding the universe that can help you leap forward in development, Mira replied. Marcus, ever the scientist, was skeptical yet hopeful. And you believe we're ready for this? It seems you have found the seed, Lyra said with a slight tilt of her head. That may be answer enough. As the meeting drew to a close, Elijah felt a profound sense of purpose. The day's discoveries and discussions had opened a new chapter for humanity. A chapter not just of survival on a distant moon, but of thriving in a broader universe, connected by shared knowledge and newfound companionship. Let's keep this dialogue open, Adrian suggested. There's much we can learn from each other. Lyra and Mira agreed, their expressions serene yet filled with excitement for what might come next. As they left, the bond that had begun to form seemed not just promising but necessary for both their peoples. Under the subdued glow of Titan's methane lakes, Elijah and Marcus joined Lyra and Mira for an evening walk, a rare event given the hostile environment outside the base. Each of them donned an environment suit, their faces visible through transparent visors. So, this is your first time walking by the lakes? Marcus asked, his voice crackling through the radio. Yes, your landscapes are very different from ours, but there is a strange beauty to it, Mira replied, her gaze fixed on the shimmering liquid beneath the icy surface. Lyra seemed reflective, her eyes scanning the horizon. The stillness here is profound. On our planet, the energy fields create constant movement. Elijah, walking beside Lyra, shared a smile. It's quiet indeed. Gives us a lot of time to think and now, to share thoughts with new friends. The group found a sheltered spot, shielded from the biting winds, where they could rest and talk more comfortably. Sitting in a circle, they continued their exchange of ideas and experiences. Tell us more about your technologies, Elijah prompted, especially your use of natural energy fields. We struggle with energy consumption and its impact on environments. Lyra, eager to explain, gestured with her hands as she spoke. Our technology doesn't fight against nature but works with it. For example, we use the natural magnetic fields to power our cities. It's seamless and clean. Marcus scribbled notes on a digital pad. Adapting something like that here could change how we live in space colonies. It requires a deep understanding of your planet's magnetic field and how to tap into it without causing disruption, Mira added. I'd like to see that in action, learn from it, Marcus said, his tone earnest. And what can you teach us? Lyra asked, turning the conversation. Elijah thought for a moment. Well, our approach to space exploration could be useful to you. The way we handle long voyages, life support systems, resource recycling. Yes, these are areas where we seek improvement, Mira acknowledged. Our voyages are limited by these constraints. As the conversation deepened, the stark differences between their worlds seemed less like barriers and more like opportunities to build bridges. Elijah noticed Lyra's curiosity about human expressions and emotions. You seem fascinated by our facial expressions, Elijah said, smiling. Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with intrigue. Yes, your faces move so much when you speak. It conveys so much emotion. It's all part of how we communicate, Elijah explained. Each expression, each gesture can mean different things. Would it be all right if I tried to communicate as you do? Lyra asked tentatively. Of course, Elijah responded warmly. Lyra's face contorted in various expressions, mimicking the ones she had observed. Elijah laughed, and soon, everyone joined in. This is harder than it looks, Lyra admitted. Her voice mixed with frustration and amusement. It takes practice, Marcus chimed in, still chuckling. As they continued their lesson in human expressions, the atmosphere grew lighter, filled with laughter and shared discoveries. It was a simple moment, but it bridged their worlds more than any technology could. Eventually, the conversation shifted back to practical matters. We should arrange for you to visit our planet, Mira suggested. Seeing our technology firsthand would provide better insights. We'd like that, Elijah said, the prospect exciting him. And perhaps you'd like to see Earth someday. We would, Lyra said, her voice soft but filled with anticipation. As they made their way back to the base, the four felt not only the weight of their environment suits, but also the lightness of new friendships forming. Their steps were small against the vastness of Titan, yet significant in the journey they were embarking on together. Back inside the cozy warmth of the outpost communal area, Elijah set up a small projector to show Lyra and Mira images of Earth, oceans, mountains, forests, and cities bustling with life. Marcus had joined them, along with Dr. Hayes, to help explain the various ecosystems and human technologies. This is the Amazon rainforest, Marcus pointed out on the displayed image, the vibrant greens and blues lighting up the room. It's one of Earth's lungs, crucial for our planet's ecosystem. Lyra was captivated. It's beautiful. Our planet has similar life zones, but the colors are different, more purples and reds. And this, Dr. Hayes chimed in, switching to a bustling urban scene, is New York City, one of our largest cities. Quite a contrast to the natural spaces. Mira looked intrigued. The structures are so varied. Our cities are more uniform, designed to blend with the landscape. As the slideshow continued, Elijah noticed Lyra's fascination with a picture of the northern lights. That's the aurora borealis, he explained. It's caused by solar winds interacting with the Earth's magnetic field. It's quite a sight. Much like the energy fields on our world, Lyra commented, her tone reflective. The discussion gradually shifted from the environmental to the personal. Elijah took a moment to share more about human customs, focusing on the cultural significance of music and art. Do you have music? Elijah asked, curious. Yes, but I suspect it's different from yours. Our music is more about the harmony of natural sounds. We use it to enhance the connection between our beings and the world around us, Mira explained. Eager to demonstrate, Elijah connected his data pad to the room's sound system and played a piece of classical music. The sweeping strings and intricate piano melodies filled the room. Lyra listened intently, closing her eyes. It's very emotional. It moves in ways that our music does not. Seeing an opportunity for a deeper connection, Elijah asked, would you like to try a human dance? He offered his hand with a smile, encouraged by their shared curiosity. Lyra looked to Mira, who nodded encouragingly. Accepting Elijah's hand, Lyra stood cautiously. Elijah guided her gently, showing her the steps of a simple waltz to the rhythm of the music. As they moved together, Lyra's initial awkwardness gave way to a more fluid motion. I see now. This is another form of expression. Through movement, she observed, her movements becoming more confident. Yes, exactly. It's about connection and feeling the music through your body, Elijah explained, impressed with her quick learning. Marcus and Dr. Hayes watched, amused and delighted at the cultural exchange. You're a natural, Marcus called out, laughing. The dance ended, but the emotional resonance lingered. Lyra stepped back, still holding Elijah's hand. Thank you, Elijah. I understand so much more now. That was wonderful to watch, Mira added, her voice warm. It seems we have much to learn from each other. As the evening drew to a close, the group felt a profound sense of closeness that went beyond their scientific and exploratory goals. It was a moment of human connection, simple yet deep, bridging worlds through the universal language of music and dance. We should do this more often, Dr. Hayes suggested. Who knows what else we can discover about each other? Agreed, Elijah said, feeling a connection to Lyra that went deeper than he had anticipated. It was a night of many revelations, not just about the mysteries of space, but also about the complexities of heart and soul. The next morning, the outpost buzzed with an unusual energy, spurred by the previous night's cultural exchange. Elijah found himself in the lab, reviewing data from their latest surface samples, but his mind kept drifting back to Lyra's graceful movements and her keen interest in human expressions. Marcus entered the lab, a stack of geological readouts in his hand. Earth to Elijah, you planning to join the living? Or are you still dancing in your head? Elijah snapped out of his reverie, chuckling. Just thinking about last night. It was something special, wasn't it? It was, Marcus agreed, placing the readouts on the table. And it seems you made quite an impression on Lyra. Before Elijah could respond, Dr. Hayes walked in, his expression more serious than usual. Elijah, Mira asked to speak with you privately. She's waiting in conference room 2. Puzzled, Elijah nodded and made his way to the conference room. He found Mira seated alone, her posture unusually stiff. Mira, is everything all right? Elijah asked as he entered. Mira looked up, her expression unreadable. I need to discuss Lyra and your growing closeness. Elijah took a seat opposite her, his heart rate ticking up a notch. Of course. What's on your mind? Mira took a deep breath, her voice steady. Lyra is fascinated by humans, by you. She feels a deep connection, something we did not anticipate. It's complicated. Elijah listened intently, his concern growing. I care about her too. I hope that's not a problem. It's not about prohibition, Mira explained, softening. Our people are free to explore their emotions. But such connections are rare, and they can bring unforeseen changes. What kind of changes? Elijah asked, genuinely curious. Mira paused, searching for the right words. Emotional entanglements can affect our abilities. Our empathic nature is heightened by strong emotional bonds, which can lead to a deepening of our senses, but also a vulnerability. I don't want to cause her any harm, Elijah said earnestly. I know, Mira replied, a faint smile breaking through her concern. That's why I'm here, not to forbid, but to understand your intentions. Elijah met her gaze, his resolve clear. I respect Lyra and your customs. I'm here to learn, to share, and yes, to care. Whatever it takes, I'm committed to doing this the right way. Mira nodded, visibly relieved. Then, with my blessing, continue this journey. Just be mindful of the impacts. Thank you, Mira. I promise to be careful, Elijah assured her. As they stood to leave, Mira placed her hand on Elijah's shoulder, a gesture of trust. I believe in Lyra's judgment and now, in yours. Elijah left the room feeling a mixture of relief and responsibility. He found Lyra waiting outside, her eyes searching his. Is everything all right? She asked, her voice tinged with concern. It is, Elijah smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. Mira just wanted to make sure we're both on the same page. And are we? Lyra inquired, a hopeful note in her voice. We are, Elijah confirmed, reaching for her hand. Let's take this one step at a time together. Lyra's smile brightened the dim hallway. I would like that very much. The pair walked back to join the others, hands clasped, a silent acknowledgement of the new path they were embarking on. With Myra's blessing and a clearer understanding between them, Elijah and Lyra were ready to explore the depths of their connection, guided by mutual respect and a shared desire to bridge their worlds. Later that week, The Titan outpost organized a celebration of the ongoing collaboration and friendship between humans and Lyra's people. The common area was adorned with lights and makeshift decorations, mimicking a festive atmosphere reminiscent of a gathering back on Earth. The room buzzed with the excited chatter of both humans and aliens, sharing food samples from both cultures. Elijah found himself at a table with Marcus, Dr. Hayes, and a couple of engineers, discussing potential applications of the alien technology in human space endeavors. So, you think their magnetic field utilization could really work for us? Dr. Hayes was asking, a note of skepticism in his voice. Marcus, ever the optimist, nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely, Adrian. It's clean, efficient, and could revolutionize how we power our outposts. While the conversation flowed around him, Elijah's gaze wandered across the room to where Lyra was demonstrating one of her planet's traditional games to a group of curious scientists. Her laughter, light and clear, reached across the room, pulling at him. Feeling a tap on his shoulder, Elijah turned to see Lyra standing there, a playful smile on her face. Care to join me for a walk outside? I think we could both use a little fresh air. Elijah agreed instantly, excusing himself from the table. He followed her to the airlock, where they suited up in silence, a comfortable anticipation hanging between them. Once outside, the stark beauty of Titan's landscape enveloped them, the icy surface reflecting Titan's weak sunlight, creating a palette of blues and grays. It's beautiful, isn't it? Elijah said, his voice echoing slightly in his helmet. It is. Very different from the vibrancy of my world, but there's a serenity here that's captivating, Lyra replied, her eyes taking in the horizon. They walked in silence for a few moments, each step crunching softly on the frozen ground. Finally, Lyra stopped and turned to face him. Elijah, about what Mira and I discussed with you. I feel something strong, something new when I'm with you. Elijah reached out, his gloved hand gently touching hers. I feel it too, Lyra. It's like nothing I've ever experienced. Lyra's voice was soft but clear in his headset. I can feel every inch of you. How can you be so perfectly firm? Her words were filled with wonder and curiosity, reflecting her deepening feelings. It's just human, Elijah chuckled, trying to lighten the moment while also feeling a profound connection. But I'm glad it feels right to you. They continued their walk, sharing thoughts about their families, their dreams, and what the future might hold. As they turned back toward the base, Lyra stopped again, this time facing Elijah with a more serious expression. Elijah, I want to explore where this could go between us. Not just as representatives of our people, but personally, she confessed, her voice barely more than a whisper. I want that too, Elijah replied earnestly. I think we're starting something incredible here, Lyra. Let's see where it leads together. As they re-entered the outpost, their bond cemented by mutual respect and burgeoning affection, they knew they were stepping into uncharted territory. But both felt ready to face whatever came next, strengthened by the shared intimacy of their connection and the promise of tomorrow. Back in the outpost, word had spread about the growing bond between Elijah and Lyra. Some of the crew members were curious, even supportive, while others exchanged uncertain glances, struggling to understand the new dynamic. For Elijah, the scrutiny didn't bother him much. He was focused on exploring and understanding the connection he had formed with Lyra. But he knew there was more to this than his personal feelings. His relationship with Lyra was fast becoming a symbol of the potential for integration between humans and aliens. One afternoon, Dr. Hayes gathered a group of scientists, engineers, and researchers in the conference room to discuss the implications of the alliance with Lyra and Myra's people. Elijah and Marcus arrived early, taking seats near the front. We're at a crossroads, Dr. Hayes began, looking around the room. Our interactions with Lyra, Mira, and their technology have given us insights into possibilities we never dreamed of. It's not just about sharing knowledge anymore. It's about building a future where humans and their species can coexist and thrive together. Marcus leaned over and whispered to Elijah, "Didn't take long for us to become a case study in alien relations, did it?" Elijah smirked. "No, but I suppose it's inevitable, and I can't say I'm against it. There's a lot we could accomplish together." Just then, Mira entered with Lyra beside her. The room fell silent, all eyes on the two alien visitors. Mira took a step forward, sensing the tension. We understand that this bond between our kind and yours may seem unusual. We are not here to disrupt your way of life, but to enhance our understanding of each other. One of the engineers, a pragmatic woman named Samara, raised her hand. With respect, Mira, what does integration mean for both of our people? Will we be expected to alter our way of life to accommodate your ways? Mira shook her head calmly. Integration does not mean replacement. It means cooperation. We seek to learn from you as much as you seek to learn from us. Dr. Hayes nodded in agreement. Our interactions with Lyra and Mira have shown us that there is an incredible opportunity here, but it's up to us to navigate it respectfully and thoughtfully. As the discussion continued, several crew members voiced concerns about privacy, independence, and the cultural implications of close relations with another species. Mira and Lyra answered every question with grace, emphasizing that their people valued individuality and were open to gradual integration. After an hour of lively discussion, Dr. Hayes adjourned the meeting, leaving the crew with much to consider. Elijah lingered in the room, sensing that there were still things left unsaid. Lyra, he said quietly, approaching her, do you think our bond will make things harder for your people or mine? Lyra looked at him, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps. But I believe any challenge is worth facing if it means building something meaningful together. Marcus joined them, giving Elijah a gentle nudge. I think it's fair to say that not everyone is on board yet, but they're warming up to the idea. People need time, Mira added. Humans are cautious by nature, just as we are. But in time, they will see the benefits. Dr. Hayes joined the group, his expression serious yet warm. I have to commend you both, Elijah and Lyra. You're breaking ground on something entirely new. If there are any issues, know that we're here to support you. Thank you, Dr. Hayes, Elijah replied. It means a lot to us. As the meeting room emptied, Lyra looked around, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. This is the first step, isn't it? A way for both our people to understand each other on a level we hadn't anticipated. Elijah nodded, feeling a surge of determination. Exactly. This isn't just about us. It's about what we can create together, showing others that cooperation isn't just possible. It's essential. After a moment, Marcus slapped Elijah on the back, grinning. So, when are you two planning your first big Earth-alien cultural exchange event? We could have music, food, maybe some dancing? Lyra laughed, a sound so genuine that it lightened the entire room. I think that's a wonderful idea. Perhaps next week? Consider it planned, Marcus said, already mentally organizing the logistics. The rest of the week was filled with preparations for the cultural exchange event. The entire outpost joined in, setting up lights, preparing music playlists, and crafting decorations. Even those who had been skeptical found themselves drawn to the event, curious to see what an interplanetary celebration would look like. When the night of the event finally arrived, the common area was transformed. Music played, a mix of human classics and recordings Lyra and Mira had brought from their world. A large table held foods from Earth and samples of alien delicacies that Lyra had prepared, all of which intrigued the crew. Elijah and Lyra spent the evening greeting people, explaining the dishes and answering questions about their cultures. Marcus led a small group in a dance lesson, and soon humans and aliens were moving together, laughing and stumbling over the unfamiliar steps. During a quieter moment, Elijah pulled Lyra aside, his face reflecting a mix of pride and amazement. Look at this. A week ago, most of the people here would have hesitated to even approach you. And now we're all celebrating together. Lyra took his hand, her gaze warm. It's a start, Elijah. And it's all because of you and the kindness your people have shown us. The night wore on, laughter and music echoing through the halls of the outpost, until the boundaries between human and alien seemed to blur completely. By the time the event ended, many of the initial doubts and hesitations had given way to acceptance and mutual respect. As Elijah and Lyra walked back to their quarters, Lyra leaned into him, her expression soft. Tonight meant a lot to us, Elijah. More than words can say. It meant a lot to me too, Elijah replied. This feels like the beginning of something that could change everything. For both our people, Lyra nodded, her hand tightening around his. Then let's continue this journey together, wherever it leads. And with that, they walked into the unknown, knowing that no matter what came next, they would face it side by side. Their worlds intertwined in ways neither could have foreseen, yet now felt entirely right. As the morning light filtered into the outpost, Elijah prepared for a day that would mark a new chapter. Today, he and Lyra would leave Titan together, bound for her home planet. It was an idea that had once seemed as distant as the stars, but now, it felt like the most natural thing in the universe. Marcus helped Elijah load the last of his equipment onto the sleek, silver craft that Lyra and Mira had arrived in weeks ago. "I still can't believe you're actually doing this," Marcus said, shaking his head with a mix of disbelief and admiration. "Heading off to an alien world like it's no big deal." Elijah chuckled. "I can hardly believe it myself, but this feels right. There's so much to learn, so much to see." Dr. Hayes approached, extending a hand to Elijah. "You're stepping into the unknown, Elijah. But if anyone's suited for it, it's you. Bring back what you learn, and stay safe out there." Elijah shook his hand firmly. "Thank you, Dr. Hayes. I'll do my best to make this journey worth it for everyone." Lyra emerged from the craft, smiling warmly as she saw the humans gathered to see them off. Mira joined her, placing a hand on her sister's shoulder. "You have our support, Elijah," she said. "Remember, this journey isn't just for you. It's for everyone who dares to dream of a future shared by different worlds." Marcus grinned, clapping Elijah on the shoulder. "Just don't forget about us when you're out there mingling with the stars." Elijah laughed, the weight of the moment lightened by his friend's humor. "As if I could. I'll be back to tell you all about it. And maybe next time, you'll come along for the ride." Lyra looked at Elijah, her gaze filled with excitement and anticipation. "Are you ready?" Elijah took a deep breath, looking back at the familiar faces around him one last time. More than ever. They entered the craft, and soon, the hum of alien technology filled the small space as it powered up. The humans outside waved as the vessel lifted, leaving the surface of Titan behind. Elijah felt a rush of excitement and wonder, his heart pounding as he watched the stars grow brighter outside the craft's window. As they settled into the journey, Lyra turned to Elijah, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Thank you for choosing to come with me, Elijah. This means more than you know." Elijah smiled, reaching out to take her hand. "It's me who should be thanking you, Lyra. You opened up a whole new world to me, a new way of seeing things. I wouldn't miss this for anything." They sat in silence, hand in hand, watching as the stars stretched out before them, each one holding the promise of discovery and the unknown. Together, they were heading into a future that neither could have imagined, a path forged by curiosity, friendship, and the unbreakable bond they'd come to share. As the ship drifted further into the cosmos, Elijah felt a profound sense of purpose. His life, his world, and everything he'd known were expanding, and for the first time, he felt truly free. Free to explore, free to love, and free to embrace the mysteries that awaited them among the stars.